Hi there, guys and girls. I want to do a video about the state of Warner Brothers games. Some information came out recently from David Zaslav in a Q3 earnings call. Thanks to Dynasty for pointing this one out too. I watched his video and now I'm making this one to give my take on what was said. But before I get into that, yeah, I got really badly sunburnt. I went to the Melbourne Cup for the first time and I didn't take sunscreen. That was smart. And, you know, I've always got some sort of skin issues on my head, but I'm even more flaky now, so I apologise for looking like the melting man from RoboCop. Oh, get away from me, man! Anyway, that's that. But, yeah, so... I guess we should start with what was said by WB, and this is just a real quick snippet. These guys, they always... Earnings calls are pretty dry. I used to listen to them, even the midway ones back in the day, and for information, and it's about the money, okay, and it's also about reassuring the investors that their money's in a good spot and what they're going to do going forward and blah, blah, blah. So, let's listen to the clip first. And, don't worry, I'm not playing the whole thing. I'm just playing a part of this. And, yeah, we'll go from there.
This applies to our games business, which we recognize is substantially underperforming its potential right now. We have 4 strong and profitable game franchises with loyal global fans. Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC, in particular Batman. We are focusing our development efforts on those core franchises with proven studios to improve our success ratio.
That's it. So, as you heard from him, they're focusing on 4 key IPs that they have. Mortal Kombat, Hogwarts Legacy, Game of Thrones, and Batman. And they said, in particular, Batman, if you picked up on that. So, I think with wording like that, it doesn't mean that Batman's in Injustice. Injustice is not a Batman game. I think it means specifically Batman games like Batman Arkham Asylum or Batman City or Batman Arkham Knight or whatever, right? The Rocksteady games. You know, it doesn't mean Suicide Squad or any of this shit. But, like, here's the thing. I would love to sit down with this guy. But this is the problem. These people don't sit down with people like me, right? Their company... I know, here it comes, Total MK again with the woke, but this is the thing, and he even mentions, if you listen to, I've only listened to, like, the first, 20 minutes of this thing's, huge long, but he mentions in that, oh yeah, we had recent success with Beetlejuice, and blah, 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 right? And that's because those movies don't have woke DEI shit in them. They're just clever. They're just well written. That's all we want. And that's why we're being pushed into watching old shit. And this is something that my friend always says. He hates that they just bring back this old stuff to pander to us. Like, look, Beetlejuice 2. And, there's no creativity in Hollywood anymore. They just keep bringing back old IPs and we'll sell it to you. And that's how we're going to get our profits. But the problem in their industry is the diversity. People are fucking tired of it. People have had enough. And I mean, just look what happened with the election, the US election. You know, you can make a million reasons to why everyone voted for Trump. But I can tell you right now, I would have voted for Trump because what the other side was doing was using celebrities to say, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. But those celebrities do not give a shit about you. And we know that now. Do you know what I mean? And the people have had enough. People have had enough of woke. People have had enough of diversity shoved in your face. People have lost their jobs over diversity. This isn't just a Mortal Kombat thing. This isn't just that Cyrax is a woman now. People have lost their jobs over this shit. People are getting passed over for promotions, working their guts out, and their job instead of being promoted is being given to someone else. This shit has to stop. This is bad. This stuff is now like, it's not just annoying anymore now. It's heading into the, discrimination territory. And they set up some of these companies, not Warner, but, Ubisoft have been outed recently for setting up like training camps for minorities. So, not a white guy. You have to be a minority, and then they'll train you how to be a software engineer or work in PR or whatever, blah, 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 right? If this company wants to make money, it's really, really easy. You can, and I'm not against diversity. Hey, I've spoken to everyone I can on the Mortal Kombat team at some time, and I've never been like, well, I'm not going to speak to you because you're whatever. You're gay or you're a different colour or... I don't do that. I'll talk to... Mate, I went to Combat Con. I spoke to everybody. I spoke to John Parrish for ages, and he is African-American. I spoke to Philip Arn for ages, and he is Asian. And I spoke to Daniel Pazina, and he is Latino, sorry. And I spoke to... I spoke to the ladies. I spoke to Kerry Hoskins. I spoke to... Leah Montalongo. I spoke to Elizabeth Malecki. I don't care. I only care that the product is good. And here's the thing. With the recent changes in Mortal Kombat, putting Deception Molina's skin in there, they must be looking at that shit going, fuck, it sold so much. And I know it did. Without even... Look, I have no proof. But I just know it did. You know why? Because everyone was talking about it. Even the wokies. The wokies are always the ones that go, I'm so glad NetherRealm are covering up the women and blah, blah, blah. But then as soon as Deception Molina comes out, they're all playing as that character. So they're trying to do both. They're trying to get on the diversity train. NetherRealm's the best. They're so diverse, blah, 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 blah. But they won't ever go Total MK's right when I say, oh, but all the skins look like shit now because I covered everyone up. And they'll never agree with that. But then when a sexy skin comes out, they'll be like, oh my god, I can't believe NetherRealm did it. It's so good. They put an original skin in. So they really deep down do not give a shit about diversity. They just care about siding with the company. Now, if this company wants to make money, it's really quite easy. You just got to go back and make the games fun and stop caring about all this diversity nonsense. People are sick of it. It affects your product. It affects the writing on the games. It affects the characters, how they are now. They're all changed. You also expose that your diversity is one-sided. You've never changed a woman to a man in Mortal Kombat. You've never changed an African-American character to white. You won't do that because that goes against... Your diversity coin is one-sided. It's like Two-Face. Actually, no. Two-Face had a two-sided coin. I don't know what I'm saying. I make it... Well, he had that coin. I make my own luck. Yeah. Okay. I got confused because there was two different Two-Faces. Anyway. If you want a successful product, if you want successful movies, and I'm not saying you have to make your product the opposite of diverse. I'm not saying you have to denounce it in the product. I'm saying just make it neutral, man. And you can even have products, and it's harder to make a product. I'll use Peacemaker for example, the Peacemaker TV show. This is always a really good example. This is a very, very diverse show that they created. And they did a really good job with this. It was violent. It had sex in it. Naked women. And he is like, a misogynist. But he gets put on this team. You got a woman. You got an African American. You got a gay guy. You know what I mean? You got so much diversity in this. But it was balanced because you still had the other stuff in it without saying, oh no, we're not putting that in. That's we can't do that. That's bad. Do you know what I mean? His father is a white supremacist called White Dragon. You know, played by Robert Patrick, by the way. Such a cool fucking moment. They had like some, you know, some slurs in there. You know, he was such a bad guy. You know, and that's the fundamental of TV show or movies. You need to have a bad guy in there that will maybe even talk like that, and then the good guy has to take him down, obviously. Without that stuff, you're losing something in the core of like making a TV show or a video game that's good. And so this is actually diverse hell, but it's good. And that's why it's on my shelf. Look, I paid money for it. Warner Brothers, you made money because I bought it. Because it's good. And that's how it works. If something's good, people will fucking buy it. You know? So you can have diversity, but it can't be at a cost of characters, of you know, of like I said, it has to be all part of the system. So I'm just going to put that back up there. Going back to this Discovery Call, so they've talked about how they want to keep Hogwarts Legacy. That's funny, it made them so much money, Hogwarts Legacy. I was even tempted to play it. People said it was a great game. You know, it was very sort of, you know, on point with Harry Potter. Everyone that played it liked it. Do you know what I mean? They said the characters were great, and it felt like there was none of that diversity shoved down their throat. Unfortunately, Mortal Kombat is not doing that. This Chaos Reigns expansion, and I haven't had a chance to talk about it other than before it came out, but people are just not happy for a variety of reasons. There's my take, which is I hate all the forced diversity. You've heard that argument already. I don't like that they swapped Cyrax and Sector. Sorry, no. You disrespected the characters, you know, and you did it in a really shit way. During the story mode, Rain gets killed. I can say it now because it's old, you know. And he can teleport. He can water teleport out of anywhere. So his death is stupid and meaningless because he could have just teleported out of that sandwich. All the guys die in it. All the women lead the way in it. It's really cringy when you disrespect your legacy characters. So, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you know, Ed Boon has said this. They're the biggest Mortal Kombat characters, and they are so... They are like little bitches in Chaos Reigns. Sub-Zero shows up and he's ordering everyone around like, you know, if she fights you, grant her a wish, you know. Like, he doesn't even fucking fight anymore. He goes to the thing. He goes to the Hanzo Hasashi wedding, and he shows up just to order Cyrax around. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, you know, I know Sub-Zero's supposed to be Chinese, but they still give him the toxic masculinity, right? They still make him cringy as fuck. And they make our, like, hero characters like Cyrax and Sector. I think Sector even got 2 chapters. Like, do all the work, push all the story forward, be the heroes, be the good people. You know, all the men in the game are terrible. Johnny Cage is, like, sleazing on Sector, trying to pick her up. Hey, baby, you can call me anytime. You know what I mean? Like it's just so overtly cringe. And it's so fucking obvious. Scorpion, one of the greatest Mortal Kombat warriors of all time, gets his ass handed to him by Cyrax, who is literally in a fucking training simulation in the previous, not even previous chapter, like the previous few minutes before they attacked the Lin Kuei. And he is one of the most skilled assassins, fighters, whatever, in Mortal Kombat, ninjas. And he's beaten straight away by a girl. And he's lying on the ground like, do you think we don't notice this crap? On top of that, that's the diversity side that I hate, and I could keep going on and on and on. You know me, I'm a broken fucking record. But I've spoken to other people, and people were not happy at the price of this expansion. For a 2-hour expansion and a combat pack, it was very expensive. Like here, and a lot of countries around the world, there was a conversion fee. Here it was like, I don't know, $70 or $75 or something for a 2-hour add-on and an expansion pack of characters. You know, and we were also tricked. They said there's going to be no combat pack, which technically is not a lie, but they never said the characters would not be sold, but they made it sound like that by saying there'll be no combat pack. They didn't say, but we will sell the characters separately. They just said there's going to be no combat pack. So they did sell the characters. You can buy them separately now. And they also did the thing, pre-order to get these 4 skins, which I did, assuming that they would be exclusive. And guess what? They weren't. First day, they were in the shop for sale. You know, and I know Warner wants to make money, but, I mean, come on, you got to stop doing this stuff. Like, we pick up on it, and it makes us annoyed. It puts us off. Like, it's just like how greedy you are. We are happy to pay money if you are fully transparent and say, you know, these... Like, what you've done with the... you've listened with the Mortal Kombat skins. Making them 500 Dragon Crystals is great. You've put something in the game to get us a bit of Dragon Crystals back. That's great. You've got a good system in place, and that's why Mortal Kombat's doing well now. You've put Deception Melina in there. That's great. You've tried to fix invasions. The Halloween towers were lackluster. Sorry, they were. I beat them in like a couple of minutes. You know, but you had stuff in there earlier on, I believe, and I know this is a bit of a hot potato. A lot of people don't like invasions, but I believe if you had the Cage Mansion Halloween invasions, people would have liked it because it was a smaller mesa, and it would just be separate. If you could just pick it without having to do the other mesas first or any of that crap. If you could just pick the Johnny Cage Halloween Cage Mansion mesa, and you do all those missions, and it's just a real quick thing for Halloween, I think people would have really liked that. You already had the stage in place, but you got rid of that, and that could have actually been a good invasions because it would have just been a quick thing. It wouldn't drag you through all the other stuff. And I think that's the problem. It looked like a lot of fun actually, and you guys didn't do that. You just did towers, and I mean your Ghostface character. I understand he's got to be ready when he comes out, but by not having him ready for Halloween, that's a problem, you know. So that's another problem. People weren't happy with the launch of Chaos Reigns. It seemed very greedy. I didn't like the forced diversity. You know, and I just think if you want to make money, people, like I said, we're happy to pay. Just be totally transparent about everything. Don't put any tricks in your store. You've got all these tricks like, oh, this bundle's on special because you're missing the fan. You know, as I've said a million times. And people just don't know that shit. You know, and it's a trick. It's a trick to get Dragon Crystals off you. Stop it. Just be like, here's the skin and palette bundle. Take the stupid fucking fan out of there, or the sunglasses, or the gear piece that you can never find anywhere. I've done most of the invasions, and it's funny how I never find that piece, isn't it? Because it's probably in Combat League or something that I don't play. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that you do that, that's nefarious, you know, and people don't like that. All you need to do, I'm speaking to you, David Zasloff, who I'm sure is not watching this video, but if you want to make money, just make Mortal Kombat fun again. Just make it gratuitous. You know, make the women sexy. And I'm not saying you have to do this with all the characters. I'm just saying you've got to re-inject that flavor into your product. Your product is missing pizzazz. So it's got violence. Sure, it's got great fatality. Hey, the animalities are perfect, by the way. I just want to say that. The animalities in MK1, perfection. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to turn into big animals, big, fucking ferocious, kill, scary, violent, gory. I think they're perfect. I love the animalities. 10 out of 10. See? I'll give you credit. Right? But it's the little things. It's like when I uppercut someone and it sounds like... Like, the uppercut doesn't sound right anymore. It sounds like I'm uppercutting a tomato or something, and it's splattering.
Go back to the gas station again.
Where's that? Oh! Where's that? I mean, it was even mentioned at that Cleveland panel with Sal DeVito was talking about the uppercut sound in the old days in the arcades. You would walk into an arcade and hear it, and that is dead on, because I remember that. I remember going. I worked in an arcade, and I would go to other arcades all the time. Like, that was my. I would go. I loved arcades. I would love to see what other people had and what was going on, and did they have Mortal Kombat or not? Like, it was my thing. Okay, and that is 100% true. When the sound was on, you would hear the uppercut sound, and that would really draw people over. That sound, that sound of pain. It just sounded so cool. Like, you know, Street Fighter sort of didn't have sounds like that. It had different sorts of sounds. It had sort of fantasy sounds, like, you know, I'm not bagging it. I'm just saying it was a different type of audio. Mortal Kombat was very bold and scary, and a lot of that stuff is missing from the new product. And that's just one thing that's missing. The pit's missing, stage fatalities are missing. I'm hoping you put them in still. I think they should have been in from the start, though. You need to have a pit level. I'm sorry. Like, your world, your Mortal Kombat, and you tried this with Chaos Reigns, and that's another thing, I guess. I love the way you changed the title screen. You had the intro with Havoc. That was all great, but you only went in halfway. So you had Havoc's level, and Havoc's temple, and Havoc's, I don't know, toilet, and Havoc's blah blah, and Havoc's this and that. But instead of having that Chaos was reigning, you could have had the pit came back, or the living forest now is the scarier living forest that we know from MK2, you know, and put a stage fatality in there where they get eaten by the tree or something, I don't know, whatever. You know, you didn't do that. You need to do more, you know, because you didn't even add a stage fatality into any of those Havoc stages, and they had chains and big open spaces, and I don't know, missed opportunity, you know, not having stage fatalities. I know you were doing animalities. I know you're busy. I know, but I'm just saying that's a staple of Mortal Kombat is stage fatalities. The pit, it should always be there. The pit 10, the pit 11, I don't care what you call it, pit 12, it should always be there, the pit, in every Mortal Kombat game. You got, like I've said, you can have your good, but you got to have a balance of like evil to sort of make it fun. Otherwise, if you just do a game with all good levels, MK1, it's kind of boring, isn't it? And then you have to suddenly introduce a more of a threat. Chaos Reigns. And that's what happens. So you see what you did. By setting up Liu Kang's new era, you set up a punsy little future where everyone's happy and holding hands, a la The Simpsons. Can you imagine a world without lawyers, where they're all dancing around holding hands in a circle and there's a rainbow in the sky? Do you know what I mean? You know, this is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is never supposed to be like this, and I think you've gone down the wrong path by giving, and it started with 11. That's why I hate that game. You made Liu Kang a god, and it could have been good if you just hadn't have gone that Liu Kang is going to make this new era, he's going to change time. If you just had kept like a current world that still had the evil in it, but he's a god, it could have been really good, because you still would have kept all the negative elements. But instead, you didn't do that. So what's the point in him having god powers if there's no threat and he's in charge of everything, and, you know, he does all this stuff? I don't know. I just not feeling the story in MK1 or MK11. MKX towed the line, and I have said that I believe the story was changed to push a bit of diversity, but that was acceptable, sort of like Peacemaker, where it all made sense. It just jumped around a bit, and with a bit more time that probably could have been fixed. But I did enjoy the MKX storyline. I did enjoy seeing Combat Kids and stuff like that. I thought it was a really interesting take. There was stuff in MK11 story that I liked too. To be fair, like I liked the Kotal Khan, more so the add-on, the Kotal Khan, and Shah Khan rivalry where they fight each other. Like he calls him out and they fight each other. That was my favorite part. That was great. But it was changing Sindel and stuff was so bad for me. It was just so terrible. I know I'm just repeating myself because I always say this crap, but. You know, I think if you want your product better, going back to trying to stay on track there, you need to put some of this flavour back in, put some of the evil back in, put some of the fucking stuff that they say, oh, that's sexist back in, or whatever. Put some of the good sound effects back in, put some of the violence back in. You know, you gotta have the bad so the good can beat the bad. Or sometimes the bad beats the good. You know, you gotta... That's what Mortal Kombat always was, depended who you beat the game with. You could explore the bad guy ending, what happens when Shah Khan wins, or what happens when blah 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 wins. Also, you need to have some of your monster characters back. We don't have like a Naga. That was the biggest mistake in Chaos Reigns by not... You haven't done a boss character for a long time. You've just done bipedal bad guys like Shinnok, and you know, it's just a Chronica. Like it's like they're just normal characters that have enhancements that they're boring. You know what I mean? Like the last monster character I think we had was Armageddon. Was sort of Blaze. I mean, he is bipedal, but it was like a glowing and big, and like, you know, he was strong. And do you know what I mean? I mean, you can make the same argument with even a Naga. He's bipedal as well, but he's got big dragon wings. He's huge. He's got, you know, big dragon tail, horns. Like, you know. These guys are monsters, and there's no monsters in the game. Havoc doesn't count. He just always, to me, looked like, I don't know, sort of emo. You know, putting bones through his nose or whatever, and I don't know, ripping his head off and doing weird stuff, you know. A lot of people really like Havoc. I was never a huge Havoc fan, but they think that's missing too. So... If you want Mortal Kombat to make money, those are the things you need to do. Going back to this video where they talk about, basically they say the franchises they want to keep going because they are moneymakers are Hogwarts Legacy, the Harry Potter, which is really smart. Should never ever give up Harry Potter. Mortal Kombat, which is good to hear. You know, I don't want Mortal Kombat to go away, even though I keep saying I'd like someone else to be in charge of it because Warner Brothers treat me like absolute trash. That's a different argument, and that's probably also why you don't make money. Because you treat Total MK like trash. But, you know, you keep Mortal Kombat, at least it's around still, because, like, it could just not get picked up, and there could be no more Mortal Kombat. Game of Thrones, of course. Although I was surprised to hear that actually, because I never was into Game of Thrones. I watched the start of it and it was like, nah, I didn't think it was good. I know later on it gets really good. I've been shown like stuff later on with dragons and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like at the start, I watched the pilot. I watched a few episodes after that. I'm like, this show is so boring. My God. And I can watch slow. But it has to be compelling. There has to be a good hook in it. And there wasn't. It was just like, you are young and you will be the king one day. Sort of bullshit. Like, I don't know. I just found it real... Turn me off. I know later, you know, there's heaps of nudity and sex and everyone. That's why it's so cool. It's so violent. You know, I get it. I really like Charles Dance. It makes me want to watch it. He's really cool. But I was surprised that they want to keep that because, like, they ruined that show. The last... season absolutely sucks. Everyone talks about how crap it is, but they still want to keep that brand and sell stuff. I think that's a dying brand, so that actually surprised me. And then you've got Batman, which doesn't surprise me at all. Wanting to keep that forever will make money. People just love Batman. Look, I'm not even a superhero fan, and the amount of Batman shit I have. I even have Batman versus the Ninja Turtles here, and the old Batman movies, the new Batman movies. You know, so I do like Batman. I bought Arkham Asylum, I bought Arkham City, I bought Arkham Knight. You know, those games were really good. Rocksteady back in the heyday, not so much these days where they're all woke and connected. Sweet Baby Inc. You got to stop doing that. It's another thing. But as you see, this video was titled No More Injustice. Injustice is not a Batman game. It's a superhero game. It's a DC game. And I don't think they're going to do it anymore. And like Ed Boon's even been asked recently, you know, Injustice 3. And you know, he always says like, you know, yeah, hey, I'd love to do another Injustice, hopefully, you know. But it's funny, he's been saying a lot of the things that I always say. This is the Mortal Kombat studio, and when they do an Injustice, it's a 4-year wait for me to get more Mortal Kombat. And I'm signed on for Mortal Kombat, not Injustice. You know? So that's something that he said in a few interviews recently, that, you know, if we do an Injustice, we can't do a Mortal Kombat for 4 years, you know? And I'm not saying, like, I understand there's a lot of people that like Injustice. I don't, okay? It's just, that's me. I'm down for Mortal Kombat. So, I don't want to say there should never be any Injustice. That's my own personal thought, because I just don't like it. But I think someone else should be given that game to create a new one to keep that franchise going. I don't think that should be in the hands of NetherRealm anymore. And I mean, that's a contentious argument. I'm sure people would argue that they're the ones that make it good and stuff because they make Mortal Kombat, etc. But I want NetherRealm Studios to make Mortal Kombat games. What are the 3 things that we always hear people complain about? Why haven't they remastered Shaolin Monks? Why haven't they remastered Mortal Kombat Deception? Why can't I get the old MK games? Why isn't there a remaster of the old MK games? You know, and there's even like, why haven't they remastered any of the 3D era games? You know, these are all to do with Mortal Kombat. Well, I'd like to play Deception remastered. Why can't I get a Shaolin Monks 2? Like, what, you know? It's all Mortal Kombat related. And people want more from the Mortal Kombat studio. The problem is, these games, they were on a yearly development cycle, and now they're on a 4-yearly development cycle. You know? I think the only answer is a studio expansion, or a second studio, and that was the thing. And this might sound crazy, but that's what Midway did. Paradox Studios were the ones who came up with Shaolin Monks. They came up with a Mortal Kombat idea and pitched it to Midway. And Midway loved it, bought Paradox Studios, rebranded it as Midway Games San Diego, and that's how that happened. And Paradox was no more, and they became the Shaolin Monks studio, being overseen by the Mortal Kombat studio. We need something like that. And I know Warner Brothers is in trouble with money because they said it, you know. But, I mean, surely they can burn some money to get another studio up and running and have 2 Mortal Kombat games coming out at the same time. Because you can have... Remember, with video games, there's the engine, and the engine is how the game runs, how it looks, how it plays, you know, and then you've got how it's sorry, I know I said looks, but how the textures are, right? How the characters look, what are their like proportions like, right? How long is Scorpion's harpoon, all this stuff, you know, and that's where you need the MK team to come in and go, no, Scorpion's harpoon should be this long, I know the kunai should look like this, you know, or Sub-Zero, you know, when he breathes, ice should come out, like a fog breath should come out, all the little things that are their specialty with the characters that needs to be then applied to it. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a baseline team, like coming up with an engine, or coming up with the stuff that doesn't need Ed Boon's sign-off, the technical stuff or whatever, you know, or even just a GUI or whatever. I know, making textures of grass or rocks, and they even do that on MK1. And Ed actually said that in an interview recently, too. I was surprised. There's a lot of teams around the world that contribute to making Mortal Kombat 1. You got teams that make, you know, non-important stuff. Gravel, rock walls, fences, you know, whatever, and they're employed to help them get the game. You got more people you got making assets for you, the faster you can make your game, right? So that's how it is. So I, you know, personally, I don't want there to be more Injustice, and I'm glad, you know, because it wasn't mentioned in this call. And every time Injustice comes up, they've been like, "Well, I'd like to make another one again, but for now, it's just Mortal Kombat." And I think that's how it should be. And yeah, party at my house because you know, personally, I don't like Injustice. And look, to be fair, I gave it a chance. I've got the collectors right there. Well, it's up there somewhere. There it is. I bought the statue. I bought the Red Sun edition. I bought the second one. I bought one of the definitive editions. I bought a lot of Injustice, and I never played it really. Like I played it a bit. I streamed it a bit. I tried to do the 3-star missions in the first one. I remember I was doing them for a while, and just no one will watch. No one cared, and it's just not my thing. Like, you know, Mortal Kombat's my passion. You know, not Injustice. I'm sorry. So, for me, I'm glad. Like, I'm sorry if you like Injustice, but I want to see Shaolin Monks 2, right? And if you're one of those people saying you want to see Shaolin Monks 2, you want to see Deception Remastered, you want to see something else, and you like Injustice, you can't have your cake and eat it too, because the more you like Injustice, the more they will forget about those side projects, because they consider like a remaster of Deception or a Shaolin Monks 2 a maybe project, whereas the main series continuation of the Mortal Kombat games always gets greenlit. But that's why we haven't had a remaster of MK9 or anything like that. I always say there could be some diversity reasons behind it, and that could be true as well. But you know, that's why we don't have a Shaolin Monks tour or anything, you know, because they're unsure if they'll perform, if they'll make money, but they know the main series game will. Do you know what I mean? But I think if they built their brand, they had a second studio, and they came out even close to each other and had connections to each other, sort of like MK4 or Mythologies did, you know, people would dig that stuff, you know, and it's like, a good example is the Mortal Kombat phone game. I never played it, right? Never, because as much as I play Pokemon Go on my phone, and you need a phone for that, and that is a phone game, and I love that game, you know. Playing Mortal Kombat on my phone, that's like cringe to me. You know what I mean? Like, and you know what really makes me mad? I say, if these guys want to make money, make the characters look good and everything. Have you seen what the characters look like on the Mortal Kombat phone game? Or they've got all the cleavage out, they've got all the sexy skins. I was showing Nappa this on a stream not too long ago, and it was going, what the fuck? I'm like, I know, because the phone game doesn't make as much money, or because it's loaded with microtransactions, they make all the women look sexy on it, they give them all cleavage, they make them look fantastic, and then you play the main series game, and they look like ass, they're all covered up, and their boobs are small. Do you know what I mean? It's like, stop that shit. Like, it's so transparent that if you want the money, you'll do it on the phone game, because the phone game's like, sort of doesn't make money, but you're pushing the microtransactions to make money. But you won't do it on the main series game until you did Deception Melina. See, there's hope. Deception Melina isn't perfect. People always go, "Oh, it's not perfect. The thighs are still a bit off." I get it. I know. I'm not stupid. But any progress is good. I want to get away from all the forced diversity nonsense, all the bad skins, and I want to push towards the skins that are sexier and make more money. And you got to embrace them. So we can do that. Otherwise, if they don't make any money, they don't perform, they'll just go back to making the crap skins. So, you know, that's it. And that's it for this video. No more Injustice. Fuck Injustice. Like, hey, I like the story mode. I'll say that. I like to play the Injustice story mode, but after that, I'm just like, I'm bored. Remember, I'm a solo player too, so I don't play too... Who am I going to play? I'm going to go online and get my ass handed to me, of course. Same with Mortal Kombat 1. I only care about the solo game. Okay? Maybe that's why I don't like Injustice. Maybe it's one of the strongest reasons, you know, but, you know, I always said it. If you really, really want Mortal Kombat to keep going and to have your DC characters, there's only one way forward. And you know what I'm going to say? Ooh, a lot of you disagree too, but I don't. Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe 2. I'm telling you. The reason why the first one sucked is they weren't allowed to do the violence, they weren't allowed to do this, they weren't allowed to do that, you can't do this, can't do that. But now they don't give a shit because they made Injustice and it was so violent. Like, Superman lobotomizes the Flash as a kid. Like, it was really cruel and violent. And if you were able to apply that and have MK versus DC Universe 2 and have fatalities and that and just be like, oh, you know, your bullshit usual reason, it's a different timeline, whatever, you would have a hit on your hands. And I would get a Mortal Kombat game. I would be happy because I would have a Mortal Kombat game. Okay? And the other half would be a DC game. And that's why I like Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. There you go. I like that game because it also introduced a lot of parallels between Mortal Kombat and DC characters, which was really interesting. You had Raiden and you had Captain Marvel, both Lightning guys. You had I'm trying to think of another one. You had you had the Flash, and you had like Cabal. You had Deathstroke. You had Kano. You know, a lot of characters that were similar bad guys or had similar powers, or you know what I mean. It was real interesting like that. You had Batman and you had Sub-Zero. I mean, I don't know. I liked that storytelling. That was very interesting to me, and that opened up the DC world a bit to me because I don't know a lot about it. As you know, as I've said, I'm not really interested, but you know, if you give me some Mortal Kombat in there, it's enough to keep me happy. And I know what you're all going to say, but there was Raiden and Sub-Zero in Injustice 2, and there was Scorpion in Injustice 1. It wasn't enough. It's still like 98% Injustice, and 2% Mortal Kombat, you know, and yeah, so that's how I feel about it. But hopefully, yeah, no more Injustice. I want Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks 2. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time for another video. Peace out.